Well, that was strange.
Nice. Nice. Lost the background and everything.
Emilio got in here pushing a bunch of buttons and all of a sudden.
What do it live.
Tim, should we are live, by the way. We got Jacob joining us now.
Jacob, we are live. We're live.
We're live,
are
sir.
We really live?
3 times.
Yes.
We're live, Jacob. We're live. All right.
We have no background, though. Oh, there we go.
Let's do that. Let's go with that one. How about that clear day at Lambeau? So, welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Emilio in Tennessee. We got Jacob in Wisconsin, ready to talk some Packers. Full disclosure, we were in here pre-show, and Emilio pushed a couple buttons.
I touched
All of a sudden, we hit go live, and everything went all to hell, Tim. Is that how you remember this thing shaking out?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Had me feeling like Ben Johnson, you know?
Get ready to go.
Oh, man. So, obviously, the chat's filling in here. Hopefully, everybody had an awesome day. We had Packers football out at OTAs today, man. I don't know about you guys, but it felt pretty darn good seeing that ball being winged around the yard and getting the press conference from Matt LaFleur. Got some media availability at the locker, it looked like, there with Jordan and some of the other guys. So we got plenty to talk about. As we always like to do here, well, let me kind of lay out what we're going to do. We're going to talk offense first in the first half of the show. Then we'll talk defense in the second half of the show and just kind of where people lined up, who got the reps, who didn't. Full disclosure, it doesn't mean this is where these guys are going to be playing. It doesn't mean these are going to be the starters. You know how this shakes out. And we'll talk a little injury update as well. Before we dive into it all, does anybody got anything they want to hit right here off the bat in terms of OTAs or just anything else in general?
I'd like to hit Emilio. You know what I mean? Tell you what.
I didn't even do anything, Jacob. It was not me. I hit one button. In the whole program.
Sit your butt outside.
Oh, man. Let's see here. Respect Orange just getting to start off. We're going to start offense anyway, so let's start with this comment here. It says, Marshawn Lloyd's still not active. This makes me worried. You know, when I heard he wasn't active today, it did kind of pique my interest a little bit too, and I thought maybe I misunderstood. It sounds like Respect Orange just saw the same thing I seen. Man, I mean, you talk about a guy with some bad luck. If I remember correctly, he had a hammy last year. He also, I want to say he had an ankle as well. When he got ready to come back from injury, he ended up having his appendix basically rupture and had to have emergency surgery, right? I don't know what to think, guys. We'll go around the horn with that. Does anybody got any inside information there in terms of why he wasn't on the field today or what may have happened?
I'm seeing in the chat that too old for this. His opinion is I'm not worried. It's one day of OTAs, probably precautionary. Respect Oranges did follow up with a comment saying it is precautionary. I haven't gotten a chance to dive into I got to listen to LaFleur's press conference. I didn't get to listen to any of the other ones that I'd like to, so I don't know if they highlighted that in any of those. I think it's a little bit troublesome for sure, just because the guys had, like you said, just terrible luck. I don't think it's a matter of him being prepared or trying to give it his all. So, you know, the one thing I will say is, boy, it's nice to have a lot of guys in that running back room that I trust already, though, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else, gents?
I mean, even it being precautionary means there's cause for concern, right? There's a reason they're taking those precautions. So I don't know if I'd be full on worried right now. You know, great point there. It's day one of OTAs, and you know, if this is going into training camp and we're saying the same thing, now I'm going to be a little bit worried for sure. But to Jacob's point, man, there's depth in that running back room. I don't think any of us should be, you know, overly worried right now.
Not worried about it. Pretty sure his the trait they had him on Madden was a day one starter, so we're good to go. We don't need to worry about it.
That's all that matters, right? All right, let's start this thing off with one thing I like about OTAs is you begin to all the storylines that unfolded through the offseason, you begin to one by one get to kind of put them to bed or figure out, okay, is there really something here? Okay. Before we dive into the Jaden Reed situation, let's talk about the players who were not in attendance today, okay? And there may be more than this, but the three that I was concerned about were obviously Jair Alexander, who was not here today. It's not a huge surprise. I kind of think it's good news that he wasn't there today, and let me explain what I mean by that. When he does show up, he's going to be kind of forcing the Packers' hand a little bit. You know, they're going to want him to not participate. Obviously, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I'll try to be quick. If he gets hurt while he's in the facility, then they're going to be on the hook. Let's say he gets hurt and he's out for the entire year. They're going to be on the hook for that entire salary. Yep. So what they're trying to do is get that contract restructured to where if something does happen, they're not going to be on the hook for as much money, right, in terms of guaranteed all that. It would be more of an incentive-based type thing. Now, Matt Schneidman said he could show up as early as the mandatory minicamp in June. So that's why I'm like, okay, this to me, and we'll go around the horn with it, it kind of feels like Jair's giving the Packers a little bit of space, like, hey, let's work this contract out before I come in and it gets – because when he shows up, the rubber's going to meet the road. They got to make a decision now because they can't keep him out of the facility. I mean, they can keep him out of the facility, I guess, but they've got to pay him that workout bonus, right? And obviously, Goody has been very vocal. If he's not going to be on the team, they want compensation. And if he is going to be on the team, they want it at a different – they want to do something that makes – sense for both parties, I guess. That's basically what Goody is kind of quoted as saying. So am I seeing it different than you guys? Let's start with you, Jacob. Do you kind of see it the same way? Does it to me it feels like it's good news he didn't come in and force their hand right off the bat.
Yeah, I would agree with that summarization. Let me ask a question. It might be a stupid one. Are they able to just waive the requirement for him to come in for the workout bonus and just give it to him and say, hey, bro, we appreciate you wanting to come in. Give us, like you said, maybe a few more weeks to buffer this out. In the meantime, we don't want to risk and say it in a way where it's like, hey, Ja, we don't want to risk you coming in here and getting hurt because we want you in our future. We want to just have a little more time to make sure that we've got all our T's crossed and I's dotted. So if you'll accept this money, we're not trying to raw dog here or nothing like that. We actually want to give you a chance to come in here. And
I love Jacob's lingo, man.
and just honestly try to be as respectful with it, but at the same time covering your rear end, because if God forbid something were to happen, and you like you said, man, if he twists that ankle, twists the knee wrong, and all of a sudden we don't have Ja for 17 more games, 18 more weeks, whatever you want to say. That's gonna be devastating, especially if he gets that money out of there.
I think that's what their goal was with offering him the restructured deal, and it's up to him to sign it. You know what I mean? Like that was their step in that direction. I'm holding on to hope. I agree with what Clayton said, like the fact that he's not there and he's not holding their feet to the fire right away from day one is probably a good sign that maybe that, there's a possibility that he just, signs the rework deal and plays this year. I think Ja's definitely the type of guy that if he's going to come into the facility, it's going to be to work and, be focused on playing football. And until they sort this out, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not near the facility, for the time being. We talk about June workouts, mandatory workouts. I mean, what is that? 2.5 weeks? Are we talking like, 3, not even 3 weeks from now? So it sounds further away than it really is. So, a lot can change in a very little bit of time here. We just got to stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah, right. And we'll hold whoever marked that Greg Rice comment. We'll hold that for the Edgerrin Cooper segment because I'm eager to see who that is as well. Go ahead, Emilio. Sorry.
No. I was just all I was going to say is, what is him showing up now going to do? Besides show us that he's into it. I really don't need him out there getting the snaps. It's not like he needs the reps right this second. And like he did before, he was sticking to his own workout plan because he doesn't need to be there for, hey, this is how we're going to kind of run the practice. This is what you're going to do in your sprints. When you go to your team drills, this is what you're going to do and stuff like that. So I think we'll be good for a couple of weeks until we really want to see him in there.
And hearing Mark Tauscher talk about this, which obviously it's amazing how many fans want to disagree with Tauscher on stuff. And it's like the dude was a player rep. He played he played in the NFL and he was a player rep for the year. I think he understands how these things operate, right? But he was kind of making it sound like they can't prevent him from coming in. They can limit on the physical activity, but he's under contract, so he can somewhat kind of force the envelope a little bit. Now, how far does he want to go? And at that point, maybe the team does have some kind of back door that they can use and be like, hey, this is detrimental to the team. Stay away. And again, this is just all speculation. Nobody's saying the team's going to do this. Nobody's saying Ja is trying to do that. To me, it feels like the alternative, like Ja is trying to do the right thing and, hey, let's get this thing worked out. until I come in, before I come in. So, yeah, and I'm with whoever said it in the chat there. I don't think he's going to turn around. I think it was Christian. I don't think he's going to turn down $500K or whatever the bonus is, right? If they say, hey, we'll pay you, just kind of hang loose for a minute. So, all right. So the next player that was missing was Elton Jenkins. Okay. This one I'm more concerned about than Jair. And the reason being is, if it were me, I would try to meet in the middle there with Elton and give him a little more guaranteed money rather than just play hardball and go, no, we're not giving you another dime. And there's a lot riding on him playing center. We kind of ignored it this off. We've ignored it the last 3 off seasons where I was looking up, and you guys know if you watch the show or listen to the pod, I'm going, man, Josh Myers ain't it. We need to find the center of the future. It's a tier 2 position on my chart. I know many people disagree with that. It sounds like the NFL sees guard position is more important than center, and I just don't see it that way. I see center way more important than guard, personally. But with that being said, Elton Jenkins not in-house. It's obviously it's a contractual thing, but and it is just OTAs. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, but that's the one that ruffles me a little bit. Like, oh man, we need to get him in there because you want to start creating that unity. You know what I mean? Like that unity across the offensive line. I think that could be a real problem. I don't know, Emilio, what do you think, man? Are you concerned about Elton not being here? Or do you think, hey, Clayton, chill out? We ain't even in mandatory.
I'm still 2 weeks out on Elton too, man. I give him time to work the contract. It's not like it's going to crush him to not get those couple reps. Extra 100 or so reps, whatever it is. Obviously, I'd love for him to be there, but at this very second, no, I'm more concerned with getting it squared away so that he can come in ready to play. And I think that he wants to be here, he wants to play, he just wants to make sure he gets his funds because, like you said, coming on 30, you got to get that squared away before you commit to moving inside, potentially taking less money and all that. But it's. I'm not too worried right this second.
Chris the Casual In says Elton knows he's got major leverage. Major. I agree. And I know some people would say that's dirty pool, but hey, it's a business, when they're depending on you moving to center, you've got some leverage, and the reality is he's approaching 30 and this is his last bite at the apple, most likely, in terms of if history. Kind of dictates what's going to happen here. So, Jacob, what do you think, man? You worried about Elton or no?
Yes, I am, just because of the fact that he is supposed to be one of the, if not the major leader on that offensive line, just his types of seniority, of him being able to play multiple positions, him being a early round draft pick, being kind of a staple in the community. It's troublesome, but I don't know if it's necessarily as big of a deal like Tim and Emilio highlighted. It's early. I think this is more of a bargaining chip than anything. And again, the leverage is there. It's true. He's got the upper hand. He's got the hand. And I understand what he's done, because if I'm in his shoes, you draft me and I'm a plug and play guard. Then you kick me out to tackle when you need to. You restructure contracts. I agree to play for this. Then you kick me back to guard. Then you say you want to throw me into center. And if I'm him, I'm just looking at, hey, those salaries are all different for as far as what the average salary for a starting left tackle is, a starting guard, starting center. And you're getting up to be, around 30. You start thinking about longevity. And so I understand. I think out of all of them, I think I understand maybe Elton's plight a little more than the rest, but I'm still hopeful that we're going to get that squared away.
Yeah, Ed Madden in the chat says, I don't think they'll play hardball with Elton. I think they're working out the contract, takes time. I hope you're right, and I could see that playing out that way too, Tim, but are you concerned at all, man?
A little bit. I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I agree with Jacob's point, and it is true. I mean, Big E's got a little bit of leverage here, and I think what Ed Madden's saying there is true. I don't think the Packers are going to try and play too much hardball. This might drag out a little longer than any of us would like, but I think they'll get something worked out. I really do.
And the other player that I was a little concerned about, which it kind of got put to bed the other day when Matt had mentioned he's already there, is Romeo Dobbs. So it sounds like Rome has been there. He's helping Matthew Golden. He's participating in everything. Although I didn't see his name mentioned much today, but it sounds like he is there and participating.
I just caught the ball.
Good to go there. So that's great news. So again, just want to kind of give an update. Those are the people that are missing to the best of my knowledge. I don't think there's anyone else. Obviously, that doesn't include anyone who may be banged up with injuries or anything like that. But again, just going to keep our ear to the streets there when it comes to Elton Jenkins and Jair Alexander. And again, OTA, when is mandatory minicamp? When is that coming up?
June 10th, I believe.
Okay.
It should be popping up on the ticker here on the bottom of the screen.
Right around the corner for sure. So good stuff. All right, Tim, if you'll give me a Matt LaFleur screen grab, we're going to talk a little Jayden Reed here. All right. And this was Matt LaFleur earlier today talking at the press conference, and he was asked about Jayden Reed. And then we're going to hear from Jayden Reed as well. And just got a quick little update. You guys know the whole situation with Jayden Reed, the Adam Schefter tweet that all of a sudden Adam Schefter walked that back really, really quick. You'll remember how that all unfolded. Basically saying that Drew Rosenhaus, Jayden Reed's agent, had told Adam Schefter he met with the Packers to discuss Jayden Reed's role, and it was confirmed he is the wide receiver number one, kind of paraphrasing there, which was really weird because you know Matt LaFleur didn't say, yeah, he's our wide receiver one like that. They don't see their offense that way. Nonetheless, Matt LaFleur was asked about Adam Schefter's report on Jayden Reed's agent questioning Brian Gutekunst on his role in the offense. Here's what Matt LaFleur had to say about it today.
Just about apparently clarifying where he stands.
I didn't even know about that. I saw the report, had no idea. So I know nothing about it. I haven't had a conversation about it. No.
Okay. How do you think he's been?
He's been outstanding. I tell you what, it's a special group, and I think not only the rooks that we have coming in here, just being around them now for a couple weeks, I think it's a high character group, which is always important to us, and they approach it the right way. But I've been really impressed with our veterans taking these guys under their wings and kind of showing them the way and really helping them, coaching them. That's one of the emphasis of this offseason, I would say, is just trying to make sure that we're developing leaders, especially when you have a younger team. You want to make sure that you have leaders, and those guys have taken it to heart. And, Jayden's been instrumental. I think a lot of these guys, him, Rome, Christian's out there, even though he can't be out, physically doing a lot of the activities. He's been outstanding. Wicks, all these guys, Bo Melton, Malik, I see him always coaching. And it's not just the wide receiver unit. It's really been across the board.
All right, so there you go. There was Matt LaFleur, obviously, talking about the situation. Now let's move on to what Jayden Reed had to say. Then I want to get everybody's reaction, and then we'll kind of cover the details, the important details of the drama, as I put on the Patreon group, because it feels like a big nothing bird. Give me one more screen grab here, Tim, just in case somebody uploads this to their YouTube channel and we get hit. So appreciate you, buddy. Here we go. Here was Jayden Reed asked about the situation. I wish you guys could see the facial expressions because he was side-eyeing and grinning. It's obviously nothing to him, but here we go.
With all that said, was there anything that you felt you wanted to have clarified after how this offseason went?
I mean, not necessarily. That's what our exit meetings are for. That's why I talked to Coach, and that's why I talked to Matt. That's why I talked to Braves, Steno. Everybody. I've been talking to Goody. So, all that stuff for us. We have those conversations. We clarify what we need to clarify in house. So, I don't think any of that is. I think all that is done in house, and we clarify what I need to get better at. What they want from me and everything, and I'm here to just do my job and take care of those things.
Were you watching the draft?
Yeah, no doubt. Yep.
What'd you think when you saw receiver?
Listen right here. Listen what he says.
I thought it was. I mean, honestly, if you want to be real, I knew we were taking the receiver. We kind of talked about it.
It's like I knew we were taking a receiver. I love it, dude.
In house a little bit, so I kind of already knew that was going to happen. So, it was great. I mean, the whole, him being here, that was crazy. It being in Green Bay, that was a surreal moment, I know, for him, because, I know when I got the call and it was my birthday, it was crazy. But him being here live, I know that was crazy. So, and then Savion as well, great player, dynamic, playmaker. So that's another great piece to this offense. That's what we need. We need more playmakers that can help us win on Sundays.
I'm telling you, dude, Jayden Reed's a damn leader. bro. There's no two ways about it. I love that.
Yep.
And that's why I about lost my mind in the offseason when so many fans were like going at him like he was this big liability last year. I'm like, what are we even talking about? Anyway, let's get everybody's reactions. Go around the horn. We'll start with, I don't care who goes first here. I don't remember who I started with last time. I apologize, but you guys fire away.
I'll go first. Sew the damn C on his chest already. Let's go.
Seriously.
Like, for real. Enough of this, musical chairs, new captains every week nonsense. I think Bird deserves it. Clearly a leader, not just on offense, but in the locker room. And, he's a vocal guy when he needs to be, but he's definitely, example driven, leads by example in his work ethic. And clearly this whole, all this drama was a nothing burger, really. And it sounds like everybody's focus. We heard the whole wide receiver room come into question at certain points during this whole drama. And it's like, there really doesn't seem to be a major issue. I think people would like there to be because, it gets you clicks and it's good for your blog and good for your posts. But I don't think there's anything here. And glad to see that Jaden Reed is really coming into his own here going into year 3. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Jacob, I was listening to that PFF podcast, and the dude was going through quarterback wide receiver combos, and he had because he had to pick one wide receiver, right? He had Jordan Love and Jaden Reed 12th, ahead of Josh Allen. Obviously, there were some others. We were just ahead of Kansas City, just behind the Chargers. So I'm not mad at that. And if you have to pick one wide receiver right now, it probably is Jaden Reed. Just, the way he's carrying it, the way he's moving forward with it, helping out the young guys. I think that, we're in good shape with where Reed is at right now. And just, getting past this, we just hopped onto this idea of, new news out of Jaden Reed. You got to jump on that kind of stuff in the off season. But I think it's not going to be, too big once season starts.
Yeah, I think what's more impressive is that he knows how to handle the media when the media is being a bunch of, just absolute, just dorks. And you can tell that they're trying to set the dude up. They're trying to set him up so that he can maybe, and I shouldn't say they're trying to set him up. I should say that Shefty probably got a little over his skis. He clearly realized that he had a nothing burger. Then he tried to back it up and remain professional. Then that, though, sparks the fire that the local media and the national media are going to just feed on that. That's a feeding frenzy. And had Jaden Reed not been able to keep his poise, to almost kind of brush off the way that they're asking the questions, like, bro, it's nothing. Like, I literally got a new agent. He touched base. We have our end of the year meetings. They tell me what I got to do better on. I'm here now. I'm helping the young guys. And then the biggest thing that shocked me was that, we all knew we were going to draft a guy. He literally said they talked about it, which to me does two things in my brain. It makes me wonder, like, what was there a little more talks about knowing that Golden was going to get taken? And if so, like, how that factors into the draft and all that. And then, 2, did they learn something from the quote unquote mistake of not letting Aaron Rodgers in on certain conversations and just saying, hey, we're drafting your replacement, just so you know that, by the way, in the first round, have you? I have to imagine that even if they wouldn't admit it, that has to be in the back of their mind, like, hey, there's a better way to have maybe handled the situation. And even if the guy pretends he's in the mountains and doesn't get cell service, we have to at least make more of an effort to be like, no, we contacted him. We tried at least.
I think at the very least, it shows that, the front office was pretty open and with communicating to the offense and to the receivers, right? You heard Bart say that, I talked to Goody. I wonder if Goody picked up the phone and said, hey, Jaden, we're taking a receiver in the first round. Don't let it ruffle your feathers, Bird. It's all good. You're still the man. Let's just continue to get better. And lo and behold, we ended up taking 2 pretty early in the draft. So I think it's cool that everybody seems to be embracing, the new guys and their new roles and their ever-changing roles on this offense. So, definitely a nothing burger for sure.
Definitely. And I want to say about the media coverage. In terms of the local media, when Adam Schefter tweeted that out, there was nobody, and I mean nobody, to the best of my knowledge, is like, this is nothing. The way he tweeted that out was like, oh, crap, are you serious? Jaden Reed, really? And then he immediately goes on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy the next day and starts backpedaling like a damn all-pro corner. And it was like, okay, hold up a minute. And then I remember Wildy specifically, because Schefter tried to throw the local media under the bus. Like, the local guys kind of blew this out of proportion. Like, hold up a minute. We all read the same tweet. What are you talking about? So I guess my opinion is Schefter's the one who came out with egg on his face. He looked silly in this whole thing. And I'll just read this it's a quick little write-up I did just to kind of give my opinion, then we'll move on. Jaden Reed clarified that his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, planned meeting with the Green Bay Packers was not driven by concerns about his role, despite the team drafting a wide receiver in the first round after 23 years. After the Packers picked Matthew Golden at 22 and Savion Williams in the third round, a source told ESPN's Adam Schefter that Rosenhaus sought to confirm Reed's status. Per ESPN's Rob Demovsky, the team assured him the draft picks wouldn't affect Reed's position as a top receiver. Now, I want to say this. Adam Schefter's source was Drew Rosenhaus. This was Drew Rosenhaus trying to puff his chest up a little bit, and Adam Schefter said, hey, let me get a tweet out there, get some little engagement farming here, and it smacked him right in the rear end is what happened. So it's one of those situations. You guys know when you were back in school, when you were young and dumb, there was always someone that was running that mouth, and when the crap hit the fan, it was what huh? No, I didn't mean that. What do you mean? The confrontation at the locker in between classes, we all seen that happen a time or 12, right?
Yeah.
And everybody loses that energy. So people,
or like when Emilio says, I got a girlfriend, and then they're like, where is she? And he goes, she goes to another school.
Right. Always goes to the other school. Never in the same district. You know what I mean, Jacob?
It's tough, man.
Yeah, let me get my pump real quick. Let me get my air pump. I'll show you my girlfriend. So people misunderstood Reed. Said what Reed said post OTA. My new agent Rosenhaus planned to align with the front office pre-draft. It was routine, but somehow it leaked. I want to check with the agent there, Burgess. People form their own views, and that's fine. Reed led the Packers in catches and yards the past 2 seasons, though they've lacked a true number 1 receiver since trading Devontae Adams in 2022. His production fell late in the season while dealing with injuries. Now, listen to this. This was some new information that I got today that I didn't even realize. Maybe I'm just so far out there. I'm too stupid to realize this was on the surface the entire time. So he was dealing with an ankle. We talked about that. A dislocated shoulder. We briefly mentioned that. He actually tore his labrum, it sounds like, in the playoff loss to the Eagles. So he had to rehab from that. No surgery was needed. And it sounds like it showed no issues at OTA, signaling he's fully recovered from all those injuries. So he was banged up last year, man. And he still led the team in receiving, So, and again, it explains why his targets went down. The people who say his production really dipped in the second half of the season, all you got to do is take 2 seconds and realize, oh, his production didn't dip. His targets dipped. That was why his production wasn't there. He said today, quote, winning matters most. I don't care about targets, 2 or 10. If we win, I'm good. I lift teammates up. That's what he said. Coach Matt LaFleur lauded Reed's mentorship of Golden and Williams. Jaden's outstanding. He said, noting veterans like Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson also stepped up as leader. Christian Watson's a leader in that locker room. I just wish he could stay healthy because, man, he's got some serious leadership qualities.
He does.
We're building leaders this offseason, LaFleur said. Jaden's key for our young team. So before we move on and this is the last time we're going to talk about this whole situation because this is over. It's done now, right? We finally got to hear from Jaden Reed. That's what I was waiting on. And like somebody said in the chat, seeing him side-eye and grin and everything, you could tell he's just like, this is so stupid. So it's done. Anything else y'all want to add?
Put that quote up right next to Lombardi's in the locker room. Winning matters most. I don't care about targets, 2 or 10. If we win, I'm good. I lift teammates up. I love it.
That's a hell of a quote.
That's a new tattoo right there, Jacob. You got room on one of the arm sleeves or something, man?
No, he's got another butt cheek, man.
Okay. I will just jump off of what Tim said there. When you go back, and like I said, I did get to listen to LaFleur's podcast, his press conference, and he really did go over almost. And Matt doesn't usually do this. Like Matt's usually a nice talker, and he does the coach speak, and he gives everybody their flowers. But when he specifically highlights the wide receiver room and how certain guys like Christian Watson, even though he's not even physically able to perform, he's out there coaching up guys. Same with Dobbs in a way, but he really went out to highlight how Jaden Reed. But then he went through and he said he listed every single guy in the wide receiver room, down to Bo Melton and Malik Heath. You know what I mean? You don't do that unless you are actually It's another crazy thing when you look at the Packers depth chart, even guys that aren't going to make the team. Like, for instance, there's a website I love called Fantasy Pros where that helps you with your drafts to find out the draft order and the projected starting. The Packers have got 9 guys on their list. There's teams that have 4. Like, Steelers have 4 wide receivers right now. Like, there's teams that have legitimately no more than we've got guys. And again, I don't know if I listened to the same pod you did, Emilio, but they were talking about how the Packers are going to let receivers go that are going to be starters on other teams. It's just going to happen. Unless we keep 8, and even then you got guys like Malik Heath and Bo Melton that probably aren't going to get.
Probably the first 2 names that come to mind, right?
Yeah. But even think about like Mecole Hardman. There's talk that this guy's just been nothing but a great teammate since he's been in there. So
going to be talented players that are going to have to be let go of this team just because of the depth that we have on the roster currently.
Yeah. Good problem to have, though.
Yeah, you know how it is, Emilio. When you get to week 4 of the preseason on Madden, and you got to cut that thing down. You got 87 players on the roster. You got to get down.
Say best to cut. You know who goes first? Matt Orzich. Sorry, buddy. We're gonna have to putting Elton over there at long snapper. We'll be all right. We'll save a spot like that.
Oh man, I love it. All right, so there is your Jaden Reed information. It's done. It's behind us. Let's talk a little Jordan Love for a second. Tim, if you'll just give me any kind of screen grab. I kind of like that Clay Matthews one, to be honest with you, man. It's pretty sick. So I love it. It's the best. So this was tweeted out by Ryan Wood, a video of Jordan Love talking about the injury last year and how much it may have affected him. Give us a little insight. Again, guys, I wish I could turn the volume up. It may be okay on this one. I'm not sure. Just be prepared to crank it up. And for everybody on the pod, hopefully it wasn't an issue for you. I'll go through and adjust the volume. But like I said, Ryan Wood put a tweet out, said Jordan Love on how much the knee really affected him after week 1 last season. Here we go.
Point last season after week 1. Did the knee feel right?
Man, I'd say it's tough because, I had the knee that wasn't feeling good. And once I kind of started getting better is when my groin was dealing with that. So, I'd say about halfway through the season, towards the back half, I took the knee stabilizer that I was wearing off. But some of those injuries that who knows if you're ever really healthy until you get a little time to sit, really not do anything. So, I'd say it wasn't something that was just bothering me on a daily basis. Everything I did, there'd be little movements, things like that might hinder it. But definitely those first couple of games that I came back, it still bothered me.
So when you get into this off season, how long was the period of time where you just needed to heal? And how long did that take until your body kind of felt back to where you want it to be, where you can go and work on things?
Yeah, I'd say after a couple of weeks of not doing football every day, I was feeling better. But at the same time, that's just doing the workouts that I'm doing. I wasn't back fully on the field yet, doing quarterback drops and all those different movements, and having guys chase me and having to react to some of those things. So I think the reactionary part with the knee injury, some of the planning you do is when you're not expecting to cut, things like that is what messes you up a little bit. So, I think in the offseason I felt good. I feel good now. I think every day that kind of went on where I'm not, in the building doing strenuous football every single day helped heal that.
So I really think that the thing that we're going to notice the biggest difference next year is going to be with Jordan Love is his scrambling ability and being able to run a little more RPR and be a little more involved in that regard, And the things that we've seen in 2023 that did make him truly dynamic. And, he's still, I think we'd all agree he throws off the back foot way more often than we want him to, right? But I remember the throw. I can't remember which game it was. It was at Lambeau Field. You remember when he hit Jaden Reed in the back corner of the end zone, I'm talking a laser on the run. That's the stuff you couldn't see last year. And even with that, to finish top 10 in passer rating or QBR, whatever it was, the ESPN metric, and see him still kind of hold his own. I mean, battling those 3 injuries, he finished somewhere between 10 and 15 in terms of quarterbacks last year. So You think healthy, you've got yourself a top 10 quarterback, and maybe he can improve into a top 5 quarterback, Tim. I hope so. But I don't know, man. I think that the fact that he didn't complain about the injuries last year, we talked about it. And it's our job, by the way, as fans, to point that out because the players do it. And all of a sudden they're soft. They're complaining. They're making excuses. That's why it cracks me up when we mention it. There's a certain portion of the fan base that will actually it's just an excuse. Okay, calm down there, hero. I can see from your profile pic you're 45 pounds overweight and you're pretending like you're going to judge a world-class athlete. Like, what are we even doing here? Jordan went out there and laid it on the line, man. I'm excited to see what he does this year.
I'm going to use my judgment, and my judgment says we haven't even seen what a ceiling for Jordan Love looks like yet. We have not seen it yet. We haven't even seen him, bump his head on it yet. We're going to get a look this year, right? We got some new weapons. We're loaded up. Jordan is healthy. You talk about that throw to Reed in the back of the end zone in 23. I remember that play. I remember the laser beam in Detroit on Thanksgiving that he teleported to Jaden Reed somehow on a slant to get us a touchdown. When Jordan's healthy and stepping into his throws and is playing, relatively injury-free, all he's got to do is play his best football and we'll win ball games. We're not in a situation like we were a few years ago where it's like, you kind of do, you put everything on Aaron Rodgers or you put everything on, Aaron and Devontae and maybe one other guy on your offense to get the job done. Now this is offense and defense by committee. This is, 11-man squad going out there and getting it done as a unit. So when it comes to Jordan, all he's got to do is continue to improve where he can, but play to the best of his ability and hopefully stay healthy. And we have a legit shot to get Lombardi home. I truly believe it.
Yeah, here's a video that was tweeted out by Matt Schneiden from today. You see Jordan, there's two quarterbacks throwing there. When you first watch it, you go, boy, it's a high throw, Jordan. But he's throwing to the guy on the left, obviously, which is Matthew Golden. You're seeing them. Matthew Golden looks smooth today, guys. He looks smooth in transition and big time. But go ahead, Jacob. What do you think? Jordan Love here, and you see him. They got him under center right here, which is something we couldn't do near as often as we wanted to last year.
Yeah. Who's the opposite receiver? Is that 84? Is that Savion's number?
No, Savion's 83. I'm not sure who 84 is. Tim said it's Sterling Sharp, but I don't know who 84 is right off that.
No, I mean it's definitely nice to see him. You see Matthew Golden run, and he does look kind of effortless. Looks very smooth, good in and out of breaks. Obviously, they're not going full speed, and there's no contact, all that yada yada. I get it. But Janky, I really like the Janky guy, dude. You talk about another dude that probably not going to make the roster. I'd hope we'd get him on the practice squad, but dude, I love
Jacob. Like every year, the bottom of the roster dudes. You studied him more than any of them, don't you, Jacob? You
he was the University of South Dakota guy. He played with Tuck. I like it a lot.
84 was showing Cornelius Johnson, but wasn't he a release?
I think he was a release.
I thought he was.
Yeah. So it is, yeah.
Probably Janky then, yeah.
It's Yankee, not Janky. Is it?
No, dude, I'll never not say it. It's Janky, baby. Quit being so janky.
We don't want no janky receivers.
We think this is Chicago. We don't want any janky receivers. What do you think, Emilio? Anything you want to add to that, man? And I actually got another video I'll pop up while you talk here about Jordan.
No, I think that's exciting. Having J Love back. I think what they were going through some numbers. It was he's taken probably 20 or 30 less runs from last year. And I can't wait for him to be able to use his legs again and really be able to just kind of spring that offense, just being able to take your check down of your legs, even though we've been getting mad at him and not taking the actual check down, take that leg check down and, be able to exploit the defense and then give him something else to worry about, kind of like with Malik Willis, but, not as much of a run threat, though, you can still get a lot out of it just by being able to tease the defense with that. And I'm just excited that was the other thing they said. I think it was on GM Shuffle. There was top 5 teams was Packers in player retention from last year. I think it's 84% of the roster is from, came back from last year. So again, just the cohesiveness and everything should really help out.
Yeah.
I think that might be Cornelius, Tim, because if I'm not mistaken, I thought Janky was a hot boy, but I could be wrong.
I think they released Cornelius Johnson.
Did they?
I don't know. Maybe someone can confirm that. I'm not sure.
I just love the extra conversation about players who are not going to be on the roster. I think it's absolutely awesome.
Well, let's talk about a player that probably will be on the roster, and that's Sean Clifford's replacement, Mr. Elgersma from Canada. You guys taking a look at him at all? Guy looks
Elgersma is the funnest write-up I did all offseason.
I'm telling you.
I had to make myself do it. I'm like, there's no way they're going to draft this guy. He's not going to be on the roster. Why am I even doing this? He played in Canada, for God's sake. We don't know nothing about him. by the end of it, I was like, this dude's a Hall of Famer. My God, it's unbelievable.
By the end of it, you were like,
Here's a guy.
Exactly. So obviously this video was tweeted by Bill Huber. So shout out to Bill Huber, one of the GOATs that covers the Packers here. Matthew Golden looking smooth, man. And I love too that like Coach Lynn says here, I love how Golden plucks the ball away from his body. He's a very aggressive catcher. He's a hands catcher, and really, really like the way he attacks the football, and especially on the college tape. SEC championship, he was a dog. So if you get a chance, go watch that SEC championship game where he went absolutely off. Had his best career game. I remember us uncovering that while we were breaking his profile down during draft season as well. So it's kind of cool. Again, I know it's just them running routes on air and everything. It's still just awesome to see these guys in uniform. I think it's great, man. So another person that was talked about today was Christian Watson. Matt LaFleur seems to think that he is ahead of schedule. Matt Schneidman said Christian Watson stretching and jogging here at OTAs. He tore his ACL in week 18. Gutekunst said in February he's expected to return around the midway point of the season. Matt LaFleur actually said earlier today that he is ahead of schedule. Do you guys think there's any chance that we get Christian Watson back before November? Do you think there's a shot at that? That would be wild if he came back in October, wouldn't it?
I really think it's.
Oh, go ahead, Jacob. Go ahead.
No, so I mean, we've seen it now recently with multiple different wide receivers and running backs that before, if you got any of those types of major tears, the ACL, MCL, sprain, this or that, like it seemed like it was like a solid year. Now it's crazy how good these doctors are, the surgeries are, the rehab is. And if the player wants to come back and really takes that personally, that is Johnson there, 84, just saying. I really do think in the way that he moves around, like, look at that. Look at the way he's moving around. You see him there, right? Number 9.
Yep.
That's crazy, bro. Like, I would not expect that.
We saw Rashawn do it. Obviously we're comparing apples to oranges here, a receiver and an edge, but Rashawn was ahead of schedule. We saw that going into camp that year, and lo and behold, he cleared and he was back a few weeks ahead of schedule. I look at this right here. I look at Christian out there. He looks like he's in the best shape of his life right now.
He does, dude.
He really does. And I think that it's not insane to think that, maybe 2 to 3 weeks ahead of schedule on being extremely optimistic, maybe 1 or 2 weeks earlier than we thought. If we can get him back before the midway point of the season, we're in a great spot.
What if he's there in October, bro? Like, which is
that's
not.
the thing. Like,
Take it easy.
I'm just saying.
Let's not forget the whole reason he's in this mess to begin with is because we just had to put him out there against Chicago. So let's not do it again and rush him back too early.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, man, that at least he's past the point. But just coming off that ACL, though, this is the worst pain that I think I've ever felt in my life. All that blood rushing down there is just brutal. But yeah, me personally, I did get faster after the ACL. I either lost some weight or whatever it was. It worked for me. A little more pep in the step. I wouldn't want to force him back, though. I do absolutely love that he has no brace on. That's huge. I think that's at this point, that's really exciting to see just because you have to be able to trust it, that it's not going to go anywhere, that it's not going to buckle on you, that it's not going to, pop out if you go to pivot again. Like inside and outside turns are big on as well. So look at that foot. Is it in the ground when he's planting and pivoting is also key just to, just if he's beyond that point of worried about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And bonus points for also, running a close second for best hair on the team to Xavier McKinney. Christian Watson's got the hair game on point going into OTAs here. I like it.
Yeah. Definitely. Again, and that's the thing too, man. As big as Christian Watson is, man, get the hair grown out a little bit, get another 2 or 3 inches on that height, look even bigger. You know what I mean? Out there warming up. So, Jacob does that in the club on Saturday nights. He tries to.
Yeah, he brings an extra hair dryer for when he has to blow it out.
He does that at bingo on Wednesdays too.
Oh, that's right. Today's Wednesday. Jacob, what are you doing here?
How do you know bingo's on Wednesdays?
Tim, that happens at 3. You gotta go to bed.
I mean, I had a big day. I ate dinner at 4:30. What else do you do after?
Oh wow! Past your bedtime already.
It is.
All right, that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we will return here in hour two and continue to talk about bingo night. We appreciate y'all.